morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, my name is Keith, and welcome to the ATRA webinar on Introduction to Programming Part 2. Now, let's begin today's presentation, Introduction to Programming Part 2. Today, we're going to give you the rest of the story on J2534 programming. We will look at the necessary hardware in detail, then proceed to the programming process using the J2534 tool. Then we'll look at OEM equipment options. And finally, we will review known problems and solutions. Now, we mentioned in part 1 of the Introduction to Programming about getting the OEM software off of the website. Now, in order to store it, basically we need to either have a laptop or a compatible scan tool that will allow us access to the internet, as well as enough storage space to actually get that information and keep it. So I see we have an audio problem. Okay, let me see real quick here. Thank you very much for telling me that. Let me see. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, can you hear me now? Is anybody having any audio problems? I see one person. I see Art has a problem with audio on this. So if you can please type in the question box on the right-hand side if you are experiencing an audio problem at this time. Please inform me, or if it corrected itself, please let me know. All right. I don't see anybody else punching in here. Art, you might want to check your settings on your computer. There's a possibility that things might be adjusted incorrectly on your end, unless I see somebody else typing in advising me of the same. Okay. Again, I will continue, and please, if anybody else is having audio problems, please let me know, and we'll make adjustments accordingly from there. So basically, as I was stating, the computer or scan tool is going to have to be able to access the internet. And pretty much that's going to be the main goal of that. So this is going to be mostly a storage and delivery device. Now, taking a look at the pass-through device, we're going to be looking at several manufacturers here. I'm just going to be reviewing some of them. I can't cover all of them. There's several devices that are available, but buyer beware, not all devices are created equal. You will see differences on the level of support as well as hardware, software updating. I would say do your due diligence and do your homework. The information that I have here is surface. Of course, they're not going to show me their bad side, so it's up to you to have that revealed. Basically, your needs might differ as far as you might need something more compatible and don't have to pay for all that support. So whatever you need, it's out there basically. So again, the majority of these tools, as a matter of fact, all these tools that I'm showing today are capable of performing J2534 pass-through programming functions successfully. Now, one thing you want to always do, and this is something to keep in mind, that's why it's in red, check your device website to ensure that your firmware is up to date before you attempt programming. That applies to the aftermarket as well as OEM. Now here I'm just showing a whole litany of devices that are out there. Again, I'm not covering all of these even on this page, so just to let you know, I'm giving you an overview, and it's up to you to put in the legwork to actually pick a device that's going to be a match for you. And again, it's going to be from support to perks, whatever little extra things they might have on their website, whatever will help you in successfully getting through a programming process over and over again. Drew Technologies. Now, indicated here is the Cardac M box. I chose this one out of all of Jutech's devices. They have more than one J2534 compatible pass-through device, but this one seems to be the most versatile and forward-thinking. This device has ends that accept an expansion device that can be added at a later date. As you know, programming is a moving target, and as far as technology is concerned, it's constantly updating. So with this particular device, they have ports and sections that are able to allow you to plug hardware in that can actually adapt to later type of protocols which are coming up and which are already here. We know about the GM LAN system. Right now we can't do GM LAN pretty much with the majority of the J2534 boxes that are out there, but it's coming. And with the Cardac M, you can keep the footprint and just add as you have need to actually get into the different protocols that are going to come up. Also, with Drew Technologies as a whole, they have excellent online support, a toolbox application that you can download on your laptop, training videos, hotline, live support, OEM level hardware, frequent web-based updates for your pass-through firmware, and programming issues. These guys are very close to the OEM, so if anything's going down or anything needs to be known, a lot of times they can advise you pretty quickly and get you out of trouble. So again, very good support, very good product, very good tool. Another option is Launch JBox 2. This is the second model of this JBox. It's been updated, more compatibility. You want to check online to see what models and what protocols they're compatible with. They do have online support, toolbox application, and hotline support. Live support, OEM, hardware, and frequent web-based updates are available for the pass-through firmware. Also included in this package is a BMW 20-pin adapter, which is an add-on, an extra. So if you are into the BMWs, that'll give you access to program them without any additional costs on the hardware side. Also, they give you a 2-year warranty with this one. This is the longest one that I've seen, so that's just an extra thing here. Snap-on Pass-Through Pro 3. Now, we give you the contact information, of course. This, too, has got OEM level hardware, frequent web-based updates for the pass-through device firmware, and programming issues, live support, toolbox, online, and hotline are going to be where your support is going to come from. Again, quality component, quality tool. Autel. We give you their contact information. Now, Autel is a little bit different. They bring a little bit of a different twist. They were one of the first ones to come through on the ISO 9141-2 CAN compatibility. They're very good with Chryslers, and that's Chrysler. That's where we have problems speaking to Chryslers. So if you do a lot of Chryslers, this tool will come in handy. It'll walk you through. It also comes with a scan tool. A tablet type scan tool comes with this, and they have a Bluetooth wireless device for the scan tool. Now, the Bluetooth wireless will communicate with the J2534 box as well, but you don't want to program using Bluetooth, okay? Don't do it. All right, so you can access online updates. They have buku updates with these. Seems like almost every time you log on to the Autel Tech site, there's something that needs to be updated. So again, they really keep information available and updated. Very good tool. Sometimes the support might not seem as warm and fuzzy though. So again, it has to be a fit after everything's said and done. Do your legwork, check them out. It might work for you, especially if you do Chryslers. AutoLogic. Some of you guys probably recognize this little blue box on the left-hand side. This is one of those international tools that you will see in quality European Servicing Shop. Basically, this tool will service Euro. Bottom line, they have a comprehensive network that will support anything that you have, including J2534 pass-through programming. Now, one notation, the blue box is being phased out. They're not producing this anymore, so you can't purchase a blue box. But if you have a blue box, if you heard that they're not going to support it anymore, that is not true. I've spoken with an AutoLogic executive who advised me directly that they are going to be supporting this box in the unforeseeable future. They have no desire to drop this. This is a mainstay. So as long as you pay your annual licensing fees, you will have support like you have always enjoyed. So again, they stand behind this product 100%. Now, for those of you who don't have the luxury of having an AutoLogic and you want to get into Euro programming, basically they have a new system out. It's called the Assist Plus. The Assist Plus package will include a J2534 pass-through device, and it will allow for guided pass-through programming. So what I mean by guided is this product, basically you see the product on the right-hand side. It is a tablet-based format, which is going to be remotely controlled from the cloud. So you are going to be in cooperation with one of the technicians to assist you from diagnosis to delivery on whether you need programming in the first place, and they will help you to get the programming from the sites, the OEM sites, et cetera, all the way to the final road test. So again, very solid support from AutoLogic, a very well supported device, and they want to know what's going wrong and they want to make sure you can get your car out. Their whole deal is about efficiency and correct diagnostics, so they want to help you all the way. And again, it is going to be cloud-based programming. So again, you're going to require a subscription is required. Right now they have it's going to be like a 3-year subscription. And it's going to be a little bit pricey, but if you do a lot of Europeans, this is the way to go. Ease Diagnostics. They were the guys that were lucky enough to get the pt2.com. They've been around us for quite a while, and they too have a very stout pass-through device. Hardware is OEM level, frequent web-based updates for the firmware, and they have online support, a toolbox out of this world. They've been at diagnosing for a long time, so that's right up their field, right up their avenue. And they have hotline support as well as a lot of training videos. I suggest you visit their website, even if you don't purchase their product, because they really have a lot of things that will make you say, gee, I didn't know that. And just give them a visit. On top of that, they also have some hardware that will allow you to do off-board reprogramming. They call it an off-board reprogramming adapter. Now, this requires a J2534 pass-through device in order for it to work. So it works a lot, in the same way that we're going to be doing our in-car J2534 programming, except it's a little bit different as far as how the information is going to be loaded. So again, this is an option, and this does not require you to have the Ease brand pass-through device. So if you already purchased a pass-through device, if you go to the Ease website, they will show you a list of compatible devices that you can use to plug in and use this off-board reprogramming adapter for programming needs. Again, this is only going to be available right now as it stands for GM, Ford, and Chrysler. Okay, so just to keep that in mind, it's limited to GM, Ford, and Chrysler for the time being, and PCMs as well as TCMs. Again, if you go to the website, they will give you further information on this. Now, one notation to make, off-board programming can be very challenging and is not advised for entry-level programmers and not for the squeamish, okay, because you will have issues and problems, but it'll be a matter of a process where Ease can actually support you and guide you through. Okay, also we have to make sure that our cables, and it's like the lifeline of the information coming in as well as going out, got to make sure that we have quality locking cables at every junction. Okay, sometimes the cables that might come with your pass-through device, depending on who they come from, they might not look quality. If they don't look quality, go to a computer store and get some. Make sure they all have locking ends, and you want to keep that cable length 16 feet or under. The shorter the better. You don't want an antenna, and you don't want to get any signal loss with too long of a cable. Now, I have here use a battery maintainer. I'm saying it's highly recommended. I'm saying now that it's necessary. Basically, if you use a battery charger, the difference between a charger and a battery maintainer is that a charger is going to give you a constant current. And a lot of these programming processes, you have to turn the key on and off. Now, when you have a constant current and you're turning the key on and off, your voltage is going to fluctuate because the current, just from Ohm's law, is going to pretty much be divided amongst the resistance as well as the deviation on the current. So it's going to be, voltage is going to go down. So you can't change resistance. So with that in mind, we want to keep our voltage stable. So a battery maintainer is going to do just that. It is a computer microprocessor control device that's assigned to calculate the output voltage and keep it right there no matter what the load is. Of course, limited to the amperage output of the device. Now, and with that in mind, yes, that's what we're going to want to utilize for our programming process. Now, I listed a few brands here, and I recommend that you go ahead and go on Google or eBay. This one's about pricing. I mean, these things, you can find them used all day long. They are prevalent in the medical field, so if you look at them, you'll notice some of the weird connections on there. Basically, a lot of these they're very clean voltage supply. And also, this notation to make. This would be a good time to invest in a tool that you're going to need in your shop anyways, because we have battery technology changing. We have absorbed glass mat batteries and lithium-ion gel batteries. Those two battery types, they can't be charged by conventional chargers. So you're going to want to get something like this. It's going to require a computer-controlled voltage regulated charger, which these will double as. If you do your homework, you can find one that's going to be compatible, that you can not only use for programming, but you can use it for these new batteries coming into the shop. These AGM batteries now, they're found on hybrid vehicles and vehicles with start-stop technology. If you put a conventional charger on an AGM battery, you're going to be out of a lot of money because it will not charge and you can damage it. And they cost about $300 on average. So, and that's about a starting price year cost. So you don't want to get into a situation like that. This will be a good time to get you a tool that will not only help you in programming, but also give you another option on charging. I'm listing a few more brands that are available. Again, I did some homework, I did some legwork, so again, you can get on eBay and see these things, whatever your search of preference is, and get a good price on something like this. And for most programming purposes, you're going to be looking at a maintainer in the neighborhood about 15 to 30 amps. It will be sufficient. Prices at this level would range about 75 to 200 US dollars for a quality unit. Now, one notation to make, some OEM manufacturers, and I'm specifying BMW, they require a little bit more juice. BMW, they say you need a minimum of a 70 amp maintainer to provide an ample supply for programming process. So again, we want to check the OEM website in case there are any additional exceptions that I might not have seen. Now, finally, as I stated, these devices, these voltage maintainers, battery maintainers, they are not going to have cabling that we're used to most of the time. So a lot of times they do offer cables that you can purchase as an accessory, or you might have to make your own in order to adapt it so that we can clamp it onto our battery for our purposes and application. Now, let's look at laptop requirements. I perused over quite a few different websites and requirements for aftermarket J2534 devices, along with the software that they run, because a lot of them will have a toolbox that will have drivers in them that will allow you to, easily access OEM resources. Now, this is just a list of what would keep you pretty much above board. If you were to get a laptop with these specifications, I have not seen anything that would fail with these specifications listed. Again, you do want to double check and make sure that your laptop is going to meet these requirements. One notation I will make, the Windows 7 operating system, if you buy a new laptop, it is more than likely not going to have Windows 7. It'll probably have Windows 10. So with that in mind, we are going to need to install Windows 7 operating system simply because the OEM will support up to Windows 7 with no problem. Beyond that, there's difficulties. Windows 10, absolutely not. And this is for the J2534 standard software that would have to pass through this device. It may be necessary for you to consult a computer specialist just to make sure things are set up properly. And basically, you don't want to guess because basically this will allow you to have a trouble-free laptop, because there's going to be enough things you have to be concerned with rather than having to be concerned about your laptop being set up properly. Here's the list. Pretty much, you want to make sure that pop-up blockers are off, the screensavers are off, disable your firewall, sleep mode, antivirus. Any auto-run programs have to be stopped. Any notifications, any auto-downloaders. Also, we want to check our OEM website prior to programming to ensure that the plugins like Java and Adobe Acrobat are at the correct level. This is very important because we're not going to use the latest and greatest a lot of times when we go to the OEM. OEM's a little bit behind the times, so they don't update as much as we update on our regular desktops and laptops that we surf the internet with. So this is going to be set aside for pass-through programming only, and we're going to set it up for that. And also we want to ensure that there's no other programs running or any other windows are open. So just to keep the slate as clean and pure as possible. Because programming is a lot like going into the operating room. We're putting the modules, literally putting the modules to sleep to operate on them and turn some tiles and put this programming in here so we don't need any disturbances. Once we've assembled the necessary equipment and ensure that our computer is correctly set up, we can begin using our J2534 tool. Finally, first we want to select the location. We want a low traffic, low noise location. Okay, this is something where we can't park it and try to move it, or have the risk of somebody hopping in it and pushing the brake pedal during programming in an attempt to move it. So you want this to go undisturbed. So for the most part, that's number one, job number one. Basically, you also want to be in an area where you have access to clean power supply. So in other words, you don't want to have something like a refrigerator on the same outlet or same circuit that you are trying to keep your equipment plugged in, because you want to plug your laptop in. You don't want to run on battery for the whole time, because in case you go low on battery, you don't want to stop. Don't want that to stop the programming process. Also, we got a battery maintainer we're going to have plugged in as well. So we want a clean wall outlet supply. Also, we want to ensure that there's no high current draw components in the area. Okay, so anything with electric motors like grinders or parts washers, things that create electromagnetic interference, okay? It's going to be like broadcasting on a radio station. This could disrupt our programming process. We don't want that to happen, okay? Again, this is an operating room. You got to think of an operating room. It's quiet, it's clean, it's sterile. We're ready to do business, and that's what we're creating here as well as far as programming. Now, once we have our place, our place situated where the vehicle is, everything's all set there. What we're going to need to do is get our J2534 pass-through device firmware up to date. We're going to have to log on the website where the OEM directs us to go. Well, not the OEM, but the J-Tool manufacturer directs us to go so that we can make sure that firmware is up to date. Never skip this step, because it can mean the difference between a successful and unsuccessful programming process. Next, we want to download the OEM programming. We talked about how to access, how to search the OEM sites on Introduction to Programming Part 1. And basically, we want to follow the prompts and how to access that once we've purchased our membership, and we will have access to the OEM, or subscription rather. We'll have access to the OEM website to do this. Now, we can either use Wi-Fi or a hardwire. It's not as picky. Wi-Fi is a lot cleaner nowadays, so in the past it was kind of sketchy. If your Wi-Fi connection is sketchy, I wouldn't recommend using it though. So again, we get that loaded onto our laptop, and at this point, and a very important note, at this point you don't even want to be connected to the vehicle. Okay, at this point we're just accessing with our laptop directly to the internet, to the OEM. We're not connected to the vehicle, because in some cases, if we're connected to the vehicle, and in some vehicle applications, programming applications, we have to connect all the way through from the internet straight to the vehicle. But in most applications, we don't want to do it, because we can actually initialize the vehicle computers, and case of Chrysler's, they can ask you, do you want to erase the module? And of course you'd be tempted to say yes, because I'm programming, and you would think it's natural. But you don't want to do that, because you can end up in a whole world of hurt, and you can blank out all the modules in your system. So again, at this point, unless instructed to do so, you don't want to hook up to the vehicle's OBD2 connector through the pass-through device with your laptop. Okay, so once we get our OEM software on our laptop, if we used Wi-Fi, we want to go ahead and turn the Wi-Fi off. Okay, after we get that OEM software on our laptop, turn the Wi-Fi off. Once the OEM software is on our laptop, then we can disconnect from the internet. Then we can hook up to our J2534 box, and then from our J2534 box to our OBD2 connector in our vehicle, as shown in this diagram. We want to make sure all of our cables are securely fastened, all the lock tabs are locked. Do not move the equipment during programming. Okay, anytime you move a wire, you create a magnetic field. If you're passing two wires, that can actually interrupt your programming, and you'd never know it. You say, all I did was move it. Yeah, buddy. So just to keep that part in mind. Next, you want to connect the battery maintainer and turn it on, and get that set for the proper voltage. Again, the proper voltage is going to be indicated by the OEM in the instructions. So there's a lot of reading that you have to do before we actually get to this level, just to make sure that we don't miss anything. Now, before we start programming, everything's all hooked up. We want to make sure that all of our accessories are off, all our doors are closed, all aftermarket devices are disconnected or disabled. We might have to pull fuses for aftermarket installed devices. Just want to make sure that nothing's going to wake up our process here. Nothing's going to cause a module to wake up while we're programming. So also, it might be necessary for us to set the emergency brake in some cases, or cycle ignition key. Now, all of this is going to be prompted by the programming that was downloaded from the OEM to install into the vehicle. So at this point, once we get all this set, where doors are closed, everything's ready to rock and roll, we can begin our programming process by opening the software application that we downloaded. Now, after we open the software application, then basically it will walk us through step by step. And we don't want to leave this process unattended. It takes approximately anywhere from 15, 20 minutes to sometimes an hour on average. Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer. So just to keep in mind, we don't want to just walk away from this. Once program is complete, you'll receive a prompt that tells you either program was successful or done or something like that. Also, while program is in process, a lot of times you will see a progress bar of some type. Now, if any point in time programming stops or you receive an error message, if something stops abnormally and there's no explanation, then the first thing is don't panic. Just don't turn off the ignition. So you have to make sure that you keep the ignition on. And the first resource you want to go to is your pass-through device troubleshooter or toolbox. And you might even want to call your pass-through device manufacturer's hotline at this point. They're a lot easier to get a hold of instead of the OEM. After that, you do want to go to the OEM website first, because a lot of times they do offer extensive diagnostics on the website level, as we reviewed in part 1 of this webinar. And if all else fails, give them a call. Now, after we programmed, if we were successful, we'll be at the next step. It'll be necessary to perform a relearn or adaptive resets, module initializations, and other types of resets, like maybe the throttle actuator, control motor reset. Some type of reset is going to have to take place, and we're going to have to make sure that we perform all of those before we go any further. So just to keep that in mind. Sometimes you might even have to enter bin-related information. Now, after programming has taken place, you always want to allow the vehicle to sit with a key off for about 2 to 5 minutes. And what this allows for is for the programming to be written into the EEPROM. It's the electronic erasable programmable read-only memory. Now, this is very much like flipping tiles. So, it's a process that happens when the key is off, and it doesn't seem like anything should be happening with the key off and engine off, but that's what happens with these modules. And just give them time to settle in, and then after that we can proceed to getting the vehicle to operating temperature, and then we're going to have any type of test drives that we have to do depending upon the make and model vehicle that we are working on. In some cases, we're going to have to use an OEM scan tool. There's just no other options to actually perform this J2534 pass-through programming. And by the J2534 standard, basically the manufacturers at very least have to allow us to purchase and access their scan tool to provide this aftermarket programming availability. So again, it's about compliance, not desire. So these tools are available for purchase. Most of these packages now are software driven, so we're not actually purchasing a hard tool anymore like in the past where we were buying a Tech2 tool or a DRB3 tool. We don't have to do that anymore. All we have to do is provide the laptop per the OEM specifications. So again, it's a very different world we're coming to here. Almost all OEM manufacturers are going to this web-based software-loaded laptop so that they don't have the hardware to deal with and update anymore. Now, one thing I will caution you of, don't get surprised by the partial list of what you need to program or actually perform programming with. There's going to be licensing fees that you have that are going to come into play, usually an annual licensing fee, as well as website access fees on top of that. And there might be even update fees or any other surcharges. So again, get the full list from the OEM. You might have to contact them just to verify, make sure that everything is there in the price tag before you make that purchase. Now, in light of the fact that you have to put this valuable program on a laptop, I highly recommend, if you're going to be at this level, to protect your thousands of dollars invested in a program that the OEM says is going to work, you want to use something like a Panasonic CF53 Toughbook. Now, there's going to be other models that are going to be compatible, so I just use this as a base example. And you can do your research again, do your due diligence, but you want something like this so that, you know, if you spill your morning cup of coffee on your computer, life isn't over. Or if you drop it, at least from waist level, man, you ain't got to even sweat about it. If it gets caught in a dust storm like happens here in Arizona, oh well, just blow it off with compressed air and let's get back to work. So that's a very tough, very wise investment, I would say. It's a little bit more than your typical Joe's computer shop refurbished computer. But again, if we're at this level, we're going to want to protect our investment. Always check your OEM website prior to purchasing your computer for the proper configuration that's going to be required. Now let's look at some of the OEM here. The YTech tool. Basically, we have a kit that's going to come with cabling as well as a pass-through device that they call a VCI pod. Now, this is OEM specific, so it's going to be compatible with Chrysler products. We got Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, just to name a few. There's other devices that it will be compatible with as well. So just to keep in mind, if you go to the Mopar website, they'll give you a full list of compatibility as far as this package is concerned. Now, of course, we're going to have software licensing. That's going to be annual. There's going to be a fee that's going to be up front. And additional fees are going to be required for reprogramming, reflash. So again, that's going to be our normal fee that we'd expect even on the J2534 aftermarket side to access the website to get the reflash information downloaded from the OEM. The GDS system, Global Diagnostic System. This is GM's new system that they went to for the vehicles from 2012 and up. They require this system. There's some vehicles from 2010 to 2012 that also require this, but it became across the board in 2013 actually, I'm sorry, 2013 and up. So just to keep in mind, this is a forward-moving device. The GM LAN system, it has compatibility. And it also retros all the way back to 1996 for programming. So we can do flash programming back to 1996 with this GDS system, which is very, very it's very noteworthy on that level. So just to keep in mind, this does not include a laptop. You got to buy your own laptop, and basically want to make sure that we get specs off of the OEM website. Licensing is extra, and also access to reflash software is extra. Now, if you notice, those of you who might have a MasterTech scan tool or the Bosch device, that looks a lot like it. That's because Bosch makes this for General Motors. They call it the pass-through device that they use. They call it the multiple diagnostic interface. Okay, a very powerful tool. Bosch is also in the game. I did not mention them in the J2534 aftermarket tools that are available, but Bosch is one. If you have familiarity with them, they offer a very solid tool as well as support. So that is something, and there's a reason to be, that's much to be said for General Motors using them as their source. IDS, the Integrated Diagnostic System. This is Ford's system. It's going to work on Ford, Mercury, Lincoln. Basically, this is going to use the VCM2 as a pass-through device. The VCM2 can also double as a flight recorder, which is phenomenal. Basically, you plug it in with some Rotunda tools added to it, and you've got a flight recorder. Software licensing is required with this one annually, as well as additional programming reflash access fees. Now, also the IDS system is compatible with the previous pass-through device, which is the VCM1. So if you already have the VCM1, you can get a partial package. You don't have to get the VCM2, but the VCM1 will work just the same. And also, you can use a plug-in module called VMM. It's a measurement module which will give you additional diagnostic capabilities on the IDS, and you can plug in scopes and meters and pressure sensors and things like that using this additional module. So you've got a very versatile tool, as well as scan capabilities incorporated in this, as are with the other OEM tools as well. So again, there's quite a package with Ford. Consult 3 Plus, Nissan and Infiniti. This is the only answer for properly uploading and downloading our NERS software for the RE5, RO5A so far. As of February this year, they were supposed to have gotten a solution by now, but unfortunately, we can fortunately download that software from the Nissan website for the RE5, RO5As. Unfortunately, we can't upload them through the J2534 aftermarket devices yet. So right now, they still are in violation of J2534 game book. So just to keep in mind, this is our only solution right now. We can get the OEM tool. Now this tool is different than all the other ones. This one includes the laptop, and this is a dedicated laptop that was manufactured from Panasonic specifically for Nissan. It has its own serial number specific to Nissan and is set up with the software on it running. So they test this before it leaves. It works. They send it to you. It's plug and play. You're ready to go. All you got to do is put your fees in, put your money where your mouth is, and you're ready to do it just like the OEM. So basically, the additional fee that we're going to be looking at is licensing, annual licensing, as well as flash programming access. Now, this tool is available from Nissan, Infiniti, and Bosch. Bosch is the first level, a first tier supplier of this tool. So again, Bosch is a major player. They're no small chips, and I probably should have given them more props than I did here. My apologies. In addition, if you go to a third party, if you access this tool and get it from a previous owner or anything like that, there's a $400 licensing transfer fee that's going to apply so that they can apply this unit to you. And it's they keep tight wraps on this. Again, if you think you have an imposter, there's a serial number on the back of the laptop that should be traceable directly through Nissan. You can contact the Nissan OEM, and they can verify that for you, whether it's fake or real. Toyota, TechStream Lite. Now, Toyota has two different programs. I'm introducing here the limited program, or the Lite program, which is basically going to service everything that has OBD2 and later. Now, with Toyota, they give you the software, and then they recommend to bring your own J2534 pass-through device. So pretty much they give you a litany of pass-through devices to choose from. The one that they recommend and they've tested extensively was the DrewTech Mongoose. I didn't put that down in this paperwork if you want to make a notation. The DrewTech Mongoose, specifically for Toyota application, was tested and approved by Toyota OEM, and that is listed in the OEM website. So if you don't have a ability to write that down, you have that information available there. Once you have this material, pretty much all that you need to do is have a laptop, of course, again, and the pass-through device, and you have to purchase a TIS Professional Diagnostics subscription. It's a lot like the subscription that we have for accessing the reflash sites on the other OEM websites. However, it's more extensive. They give you full access to the OEM website service information, bulletins programming, text stream updated programming, everything. So they give you the whole kit and caboodle. You can get it for an annual fee, a monthly fee, or a 48-hour subscription. So you've got a little bit more flexibility with these. Again, TextStream Lite, much more cost effective. If you're doing the earlier stuff and just want to get the whole thing, yeah, you can pay the extra money, and then you'll get the cabling, all the cable kits, and all the other adapters that are going to go along with that. So, but this is a much more affordable way to go on the OEM level with Toyota. Again, I did not include any prices because they've changed so much since I started. I decided to delete all the prices. So as far as pricing, I would recommend contacting the OEM directly. When purchasing software licensing fees, only one scan tool, PC, or pass-through device is assignable per license fee. Don't try to copy the programming and transfer it. There's ways to scrub things, but in the end, basically, you'll lose a lot of money. Bottom line, just don't do it. They do have ways to assign multiple tools in case you have a larger shop and you want to run off of more than one laptop. They do have ways where you can do that at a cut price most of the time. So again, I would recommend contacting the dealership as need be. I'm sorry, contacting the OEM as need be if this is the case. Also, buyer beware. There's a lot of OEM clones offshore that are coming into your backyard. A lot of them come in through eBay and all these online sites. Basically, they look and they smell and they feel like the real deal, but a lot of times you'll have limited access. Sometimes they'll malfunction, and a lot of times they will damage your computers. They'll render them useless. They'll give you a boat anchor real quick. Just be careful. Make sure that you always use a verifiable third-party resource only if you're not buying from the OEM. Okay? Again, if it looks suspicious, it probably is suspicious. Known problems and solutions. Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge. Bricking the computer. This is a common problem with the ISO 9141-2 CAN protocol where it comes to the J2534 format. Basically, there's just a conversation problem. It's speaking of one language and of course we're speaking another. So a lot of times the only solution to this is going to be to use the factory scan tool, either the YTech or DRB3. In this case, we do give you the option to actually access a DRB3 for rental so that you can actually do your programming as well as rewrite your VINs and anything else on the OEM level so you don't have to take it to the dealership. Otherwise, you can take it to the dealership, of course, and they will be glad to take your money and do the job for you. Again, this coverage is mostly going to be from 2004 to 2007 Chrysler vehicles with the ISO 9141-2 CAN protocol. 96 to 2007 Dodge Cummins diesel 5.9 liter. No start condition after reprogramming. You can reprogram these, but after you reprogram them, a lot of times it renders the whole vehicle useless. It cannot start up. And basically, we don't have the ability to rewrite back into the Cummins modules. Now, my recommendation, short of this, is just send it to the dealership because even they are having problems with this. You'll end up with these codes, and the dealer will have problems, and they'll say you need a new PCM. So just to keep in mind, just to keep things down until they figure out a workaround and give us the solution as well, send it to the dealer and be done with it. 2006 GMC Sierra, Chevy Silverado with the LCT 1000. We got programmings with programming errors where we're stopping, the program is stopping, and we get an error message on SPS programming. This is usually caused by the module, the TCM actually waking up on the operating table, like any other way to put it. In this case, we got to keep the patient asleep. We're going to knock them out with a hammer and take out the TCMB fuse. And basically, once programming is completed, we get that message that programming has been completed. Then we can put the fuse back in and allow the computer to wake back up. So this is one of those things that just happens with this specific model for some reason. Now also keep in mind, if there are aftermarket devices installed, this can create same symptom and phenomena. So just to keep that in mind, we might be looking for aftermarket device as well causing this. GM pre-2003 PCM reflash failure, module inoperative. We get a boat anchor. Some pre-2003 applications after programming, we have nothing. The computer becomes non-responsive. This is after we use the J2534 pass-through device and followed instructions. In this case, we could possibly have a firmware incompatibility or other hardware issues. There's a lot of coding that happened pre-2003 that didn't continue through and was discontinued, and it can cause issues and can actually blank out a module. In this case, we can bring it back to life. We don't have to throw it away. We can bring it back to life using a pt2 or a YTech tool. So with that in mind, GM modules, they're resilient. A lot of times you can get them out of the junkyard, dust them off, and flash them, and they're just as good as day one. They just want to be loved. So in that case, you want to just try the good old home solution of the OEM tool to wake that back up. Finally, we have a couple websites we want to share with you. I know this went a little bit long. I tried to abbreviate this as much as possible, but there's a lot of information. These websites are gold. I recommend visiting each one of these and find some more. There's lots of links that are hidden in these. NASTF. They are the nonprofit that are fighting for us in the aftermarket. J2534 standard is in jeopardy with the OEM. They don't want to cooperate. These guys are making them. They're putting their feet to the fire. So we need to give them input when we have problems and issues with trying to obtain this information that we're supposed to have access to, and we're being denied by the OEM. So tell Big Brother, these guys are going to be fighting for us. Again, visit that website, see the progress that they've made. Also, they have a lot of links for OEM scan tool purchasing and other things. OEMRepairInformation.com. This is from the ASA. These guys have a lot of resources that take you directly to the heart of the OEM, and a lot of hidden links that you can't find anywhere else. Very powerful website. I'm on there all the time. Factory programming, training, you name it, it's there. Finally, ScanToolResource.com. Basically, if you're thinking about purchasing an OEM scan tool, this is a very good resource because they offer you options. They even offer a buyback option. Very powerful. I'm sure there's other websites, other places like that, but the cost of scan tools is crazy. These guys give you an option. They even give you an option to lease a scan tool if you've at least purchased one full-blown system. So very powerful. Check it out. It could be a solution for you for J25 OEM level programming. Again, thank you very much for attending, everybody, and have a good day.